All right, hello. My name is Felix. If you guys aren't aware, I'm here from Ledger. I'm here to answer any questions you might have about your Ledger device. If you have any problems or if you need any guidance about how to get everything started, I already see some questions in the chat. So if you guys do have any questions, if you're listening in, feel free to type them out and we can try to get through and answering them going forward. I always mention a couple things here. First, just please don't sign any transactions you don't trust, and please, I think even more important is please don't give out your recovery phrase. But we'll get right to it because I already see quite a few questions. First up, we had Black Ned. Don't know if I'm butchering that, but hi, I just wanted to send Gala from Binance to your Ledger NOS, so I'm assuming to the address that's derived from the recovery phrase that's being managed by the Ledger Nano because your assets aren't on the device itself. Will I use an Ethereum address? I don't have any Ethereum coins. I'm very confused. Ethereum coin and Gala coin going to the same Ethereum address. So, all in all, the general answer to that question would be yes. You can send it to an Ethereum address, and I know that you mentioned that you had some confusion about why you would be able to send one token to another token's address, quote unquote. So like Gala to an Ethereum address. That would be because in a lot of cases you'll find that there are different networks that you can send things on. Because you mentioned Binance, one of the options that you might get to withdraw on would be on Binance Smart Chain or BNB chain, if I remember correctly, Binance chain. Now, all of these networks, there's others like Arbitrum, Optimism, and I don't want to overload you, but all of that to say, EVM addresses or EVM networks have the same format. So when you see the same address or the same Ethereum address, that's normally going to be okay. The thing that you're going to be wanting to pay attention to when you withdraw your assets is going to be which network you send them on. So in your specific example, actually, I might go and we can go actually check out like Gala, for example, right? Because right off the top of my head, I don't know which networks they have it on. And yes, Gala. So Gala is at the very least the official. Gala should only be on Ethereum mainnet, because you can see here that it shows the Ethereum mainnet icon. There might be some other representations of Gala on other networks. In any case, let's say you withdraw it on Ethereum mainnet, you would use the Ethereum address. Perfect. If you're going to withdraw it on a Binance Smart Chain or Binance chain address, Binance network rather, then yes, you would also withdraw it on the Ethereum address as well, and that should be able to have you manage those assets. I think the only thing that I might mention here would be that if you're not seeing the funds hit the account after some time, it might be that you haven't added the account. If that's the case, just need to go through the process of going through and adding an account. Let's go add account Ledger. And I'll just show that on screen. Basically, you just connect the device and you'll be able to add the specific account that you want accordingly. Hopefully I didn't go too fast there for you, but and ramble on a bit. But if you have any questions, do let me know. All ERC20 tokens go into the same Ethereum address. Yes, that is pretty normal. I know there are some people that do send their tokens to other addresses, and it can be something that you might prefer on your own, but it's not necessary at all. For me, myself, I have all of my ERC20 tokens on the same address, and that's totally fine. So no need to worry about that. Okay, next up we had Tech. Do you guys have plans to add a full suite in support of Flare networks into Ledger Live? Support for staking, delegating, to FTSOs, NFTs. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you for being a supporter. I see your question there as well. Also for Flare in Ledger Live access to Flare Networks for staking suite and their F assets suite. I wouldn't have any specific timeline or knowledge about any plans in particular, but it's definitely something I'm going to be able to write down and then be able to pass on the feedback that we always do as a analysis afterwards. It's definitely something that we want to hear from you guys about. So if you guys always have suggestions, definitely let us know. We'll be trying to pass that on to the devs to have them, listen to you guys in terms of what you guys want. But yeah, sorry, I don't have any more info about that in particular. Next up, we had, I think it's Whitey in Vermont. I'm getting emails from someone claiming to be Dan, asking me to use a link to put in your 24 words. So like I said at the very start, definitely something we would never advise you to do. It would be someone that would be trying to scam you, right? I think you've already clocked onto that as well. You mentioned I sent screenshots to Alice, and she can't do anything for me. Can't Ledger help me with Ledger products? Dan, my case, so obviously I'm not Dan, but I did have a quick run through the case number, a quick skim just before the stream. And you mentioned, if you can't help me, please say that. The more I reach out for help, the more frustrating things get for me, which I'm really sorry about. Hopefully I can try to answer some of those questions. If you're still on here, I will have to eventually have someone replace the broken button on my Ledger and get this resolved if Ledger isn't able to help. So there's quite a few things there. I want to go through each thing one by one. Already with the 24 words, it is someone trying to get that recovery phrase so they can compromise your assets, right? So don't send the recovery phrase if it's something you've already done. It's likely that they would have already taken the funds, and it might be something you have to liaise with law enforcement for, right? I know that I did have a quick run through the screenshots in particular, and basically normally when I'm liaising with customers, it'll be, hey, I will normally get the email in a .eml format, right? And that way we can actually try to liaise with certain specific providers, whoever's providing the domain, for example, and try to liaise with them in terms of how we can stop this kind of fraudulent activity. So those are the kinds of things that we do. That's the kind of thing I normally get from customers when I hear about cases like yours. I notice you mentioned about help with the Ledger product. So I, at this stage, would be assuming that you're talking about the button. It wouldn't be something that we can replace the button for you if it's out of warranty, for example. It might be something that we have to run through with you in the ticket itself. I know that you just sent a response. I'm assuming it will be within 24 hours. Normally, Alice is going to try to respond to you when they're back online as well. So that'll be the thing that they can run through with you. Otherwise, I can keep an eye on that too. But yeah, of course, I'd be biased, and I don't want you to have that experience, about being frustrated and things like that. If you're here, if you want to pop any questions through, we'd be trying to answer them for you right here. Otherwise, feel free to continue to liaise with us via email. And we also do have a live chat option, although not all things can, of course, be done only through the live chat, right? We might need time to go back liaise internally and things like that. So I know there's you haven't typed into the chat, Whitey, or Whitel. I probably maybe that's the name there. It's a bit blurred for me. But yeah, if you have any more questions, please reach out. I want to be here if you're going to have any more questions, and I can try to run through anything else you might need help with, or you might need us to to guide you through or anything like that. Otherwise, guys, doesn't seem like I have too many questions in chat. Not sure if anyone's putting them through or anything like that. Please, if you do have any questions about Ledger devices, how to manage your Ledger, anything like that, please reach out, pop those questions in, and we'll try. Oh, they're just coming through now. Not sure what's happening there. All right, let's go through and run through those questions. Okay, so Rakesh B, if I keep my Ledger Nano X offline for long periods, so for years, will the battery drain out or still remain charged? I would expect it to discharge relatively slowly, although with the Ledger Nano X, it's not going to be an issue in terms of like if it's discharged, if it's discharged, you can just charge it again, and that should be fine. So there's no issue there. But it might, in my experience, especially my personal experience with the Ledger Nano X, it might discharge quite slowly. Next up, Naren Kumar. What is XRPL Digital? And how does it work? XRPL Digital, let's have a look, because it's not something I know straight off the top of my head. I'm assuming you're just talking about Ripple or XRP in general, which is a specific asset that you might potentially want to own. Basically, make sure to do your own research rather. If you're ever thinking about buying an asset, it might not be something that you that aligns with your beliefs, but it might be something, right? So make sure to understand what you're buying, and you can go from there as well. But you might mean digital ID. Maybe that's what you mean. Not something that I could probably run you through about how it works. You can probably have a chat with the guys, the dev team from there, and then they might be able to guide you through about that in particular, if that's what you mean. So, sorry, I misunderstood there initially. So Game to Earn 01 asks how to, and I'm just going to go to the support page, see if we can get it up for you. How to hold Arweave and Rune in the Ledger Nano X. So again, one thing I always try to mention is that the assets aren't on the device itself; they're on chain, and what's on the device is going to be your recovery phrase, right? With Arweave, if I remember correctly, and yes, there is an application for it, but not currently for the Ledger Nano X. So it wouldn't be something that you can use. You can hold Arweave in particular on its native network. If you were using only the Ledger Nano X, if you have the S or S Plus, it could be something that you could install the application for, follow the steps here, and try to manage those assets there. You can see that it is still under developer mode to be able to manage those assets. Rune as well. I'm assuming you're talking about Thorchain's Rune. Also under developer mode, but this one does have the version for both for the Ledger Nano X in particular, which you mentioned that you have. So you can always jump onto our website, support.ledger.com. You can grab those. You can go through those articles in particular. What I just used Rune and Arweave, and you can find those to go through them in particular. You might have to sit tight for the Arweave Arweave application for Ledger Nano X as we go through and try to build that as quickly as we can. But with Rune, you can see you should be able to manage that as well. Next up, Marupam Gupta mentions, yes, Gala will go on to ERC20. Yep, okay. I mean, it is an ERC20 token. Now, you've also mentioned, please tell me how to add Aptos coin into Ledger Live. I can see its application to install, but there is no account for Aptos. So when you're adding an account, you would have to add each account separately. So once you've installed the application, you might have to specifically add it. What I might do is I've actually got my instance of Ledger Live. Let's bring that up from the back and remove my window. Okay, so you've actually got my instance of Ledger Live. Let's actually go about and add an Aptos account. I actually won't even have the Aptos app on my device, but let's go from there. So we go accounts. You can see the add account button there. Again, you can search this up on the support.ledger.com. So maybe I jumped the gun here, and there are going to be some, and I'm going to have to switch back. There are going to be some assets that you can't manage within Ledger Live, and you're going to have to manage within a third-party application, which is pretty normal. It's definitely a thing. Okay, so it is something that you have to manage via third party for now. So you've got Petra Wallet in this case, or you've got, if I go down, Pontem Wallet as well. So you can go through those steps and add them in. Now remember, you're not adding in the recovery phrase in particular. You're not importing the recovery phrase. You're just basically adding the address so that a wallet can see, and then you can use your device to sign transactions with those third-party services as well. So you can run through that. You can just search up Aptos under support.ledger.com and should be able to find that from there. Yeah, unfortunately, I wish I could keep all of that on top of my head, but you can see me in real time having to learn those things as well. Whitey in Vermont, Dan, please help me if you can. If you can't, please tell me that. I give up. If you'd like me to reply to the ticket, I'm not Dan, of course, but if you'd like me to help reply to the ticket that you already have open, I can definitely help you with that, or we can work with Alice to reply to you as well. I don't see, I'm going to scroll down. Why does my Ledger Live keep telling me there is an update available to install several times a day? What I might suggest there, if that's happening for you, is just to actually download Ledger Live directly and install over the instances that you have. So if you just go to ledger.com rather, and then you just download the app here, you can install it over. It might be something to do with how the update is not able to go through. Thank you for your help, Felix. I'm hopeful. Yeah, I hope that we can run through all the issues. I'll reach out to Alice about how to send a broker ledger back to you so that the button can be replaced and I can get my crypto back. I did want to mention though, because I'm just kind of running through and just trying to pick you out really quickly, is that we can't just replace the button. We have to replace the device, which means that if you don't have the recovery phrase, we couldn't, we wouldn't be able to get that out of the device whatsoever. So it might put you into a pickle there. So one thing that I wanted to mention there as well, but I do have your case number, Whitey in Vermont. So I'll add some notes into there. We'll see if we can talk with Alice and go from there. Next up was Rexsource. Will there be an automatic swap of the exploited network token for people holding old network tokens? Not sure about network in particular. It might be something, it doesn't sound like it would be something that normally would have been brought up internally if there might have been any additional steps that as a Ledger user you might need to do. I'm just Googling it now. Exploit. But generally speaking, it might be something that you would want to liaise with the specific team for. It's not something I'm directly aware of, unfortunately. But I'll bring it up after doing some more research there. It's not something that that I understand that you would need to do anything for. But again, totally not outside of my knowledge at this stage. Ejabana, when Cardano back on Ledger, no time frame unfortunately. I can never really give out time frames, but again, we'll pass on the feedback for that one. Pat Gogan, I'm definitely butchering that, sorry mate. But Pat, how can I transfer Bitcoin between two different accounts in Ledger Live? Normally you just go through the send process, is as you would send any crypto asset. That would be the main answer. But if I'd be wondering, like, if you're sending between like accounts that are, that you both, if you manage them under the same recovery phrase, if that's the case, there shouldn't be a need to send them. We might need more information there. So, for example, if you have two devices with the same recovery phrase, there's no requirement to send them between the two devices because they're not on the device. But of course, if you are transferring them between two accounts you own, even if they're within Ledger Live, if you want to make that on-chain transaction, of course, you just follow the normal send process as well, that you can find here. Rexors, the network claim portal is asking me for the wallet address. Can you please help me? What is this? And is it safe to connect my ledger as it is asking me to connect my wallet? Generally speaking, connecting a wallet shouldn't be something that has you that is going to instantly compromise your assets. What normally is the case is if you're signing either a message in some cases, or if you're signing a transaction. So those are the specific things you might need to look out for. Connecting your wallet though normally isn't going to be something that is going to compromise your account. I'm not sure about the network claim portal. I'm still looking at it up now there. Claim portal. I think the main one is if you're getting like something to say input your recovery phrase, for example. It might be something that you would want to email us, so support.ledger.com, and right behind where my image would be is there is a purple contact us button that you can get a hold of us for. I'm just trying to log in. I'm just connecting my wallet now. Doesn't seem like it would be something I would be worried about, but definitely if you want to make sure, get a hold of us and we can try to go through that in particular. ROX47 is VeChain compatible. VeChain is something you can manage with your Ledger device. There we go. And very recently, actually, you're now able to manage VeChain within Ledger Live as well. So you can go in and add an account as you normally would. So really happy about that. I know I've dealt with quite a few customers that would have had issues with VeChain. So really happy to see that directly within Ledger Live as well. Gerard, I constantly see NFTs sent to my wallet. I'm guessing most of these are equivalent to spam. Exactly right. That's exactly how I would also put it. What is the best way to see if any of them are legit, like an airdrop from holding another asset? Personally, they're nearly 99.9% are going to be scams. What I would normally think about though is like if you are expecting something, or if you are if you would want to follow the contract. So you work backwards from there. So let's say I see there's a specific token that I was supposed to get, or an NFT I was supposed to get. I would get the contract address for that one, have a look on chain in a block explorer. So let's say something like Etherscan, for example, and then and work backward from there and be like, oh, did I get dropped this, and go from there. But 99% of the time I ignore all of them, because if you didn't specifically go about and try and get a particular asset, there is very little reason other than, as you mentioned, airdrops, as to why someone would send you an NFT. Most of the time they're going to be trying to compromise your assets. Airdrops normally have like a very specific website that you go to. You don't even need to sign any transactions in a lot of cases. You would want to just go in, add your address, you would see how much you get, and an airdrop is exactly how it sounds. It is dropped into your account. So you actually shouldn't need to do anything most of the time, and then you can double check from there. Of course, scammers like to impersonate these websites. I'm going to be rambling on for a bit about this normally, but always good to make sure you check those websites as well. Double check, triple check, check if you're going on social media, especially like Twitter, right? There's going to be a huge number of scams, so please be really, really careful. What is the Coinbase thing that is added to Ledger Live? That would be a way to purchase assets directly with something like Coinbase Pay. If I actually go in and I should be able to use it, boom. So let's say I was purchasing €100 or something. If I remember correctly, it should come under Visa, and you should be able to pay using Coinbase Pay, and you can log into your Coinbase. Oh, actually, sorry guys, I forgot to show my Ledger Live window, but okay, there we go. So you can see here, when I'm asked to choose a provider, one of the options to purchase assets is going to be Coinbase. So that's the thing that was added, and you can use that to purchase your assets if you already have a Coinbase account, for example. So a nice way, another way for users to be able to purchase assets directly within Ledger Live, and then have them be received directly to the Ledger managed address, for example, or Ledger Nano managed address, to be very specific. Brion Dodson, G Squared, thumbs up, thank you as well. Brion Dodson, Stacks update. Unfortunately, I don't have a specific update at this stage, but we'll be the first to like shout out to you, right, about like what any information that we have with regards to the Ledger Stacks. I always wish I did have more information for you guys, but nothing at this stage yet. All right, let's keep going. Nikolai, hi, I logged into my account in Ledger Live and couldn't add Ethereum. Already installed it on your device. So I'll have to go back to Ledger Live in this case. This shouldn't, once you've installed the application, you also need to then add the account. So the mention of, in particular here, that you've already installed it on the device. So you installed the application, that's perfect. And then you might need to go to, for example, add accounts, and then add accounts up here to actually add the account in particular. But Nikolai, if like you're experiencing an error message, it might be good to let us know what that might be. It might be something like device is disconnected or something like that. I might be thinking about what is showing on the device as well. So if the device is showing like, if the device is showing just a PIN screen, you might need to enter the PIN to actually be able to have the device be open. That might be one of the things that I've come across personally with regards to that. But generally, you should be able to add an account, go to Ethereum, and go from there. Next up, One in Vermont. I did go through those questions, but I'll have a check once we get up to date with all the questions with everyone else as well. Nikolai showed me, yes, shows me error, currency with ID, Ethereum Sepolia not found. Please note that I didn't touch any settings, so I update Ledger Live and I try to add an account, but show me update firmware. Well, is Ledger latest firmware safe? A lot of people don't agree with updating the firmware. How can I fix my issue? The way to fix the issue would be to update the firmware. There is nothing unsafe about the firmware. I can just nip that in the bud straight away. That would be, it is important to make sure the firmware is updated. Why would that be? It's because blockchain is always moving forward as well, right? And we're going to want to make sure that the device that you're using is able to communicate and sign transactions for the chain that you want to interact with. I will flat out say, yeah, there is nothing unsafe about the firmware whatsoever. You can always go onto our website and then go through the FAQ about the Ledger Recover if that's the specific thing that is worrying you. But if you have specific thoughts, I can feel free to put them in the chat and I'll try to answer them as well. But the security model remains the same as before, and there's nothing that's going to be more unsafe by updating the firmware. By not updating the firmware, though, that would be something that might be an issue, right? Obviously, you're experiencing one of those issues at this stage. Tech, thanks for the response. I'll reach out to the Flare community. And yeah, I'll reach out internally as well with that one, Tech. Next up, we had Jonathan. Let me go back. Jonathan, can I ask if I can hold USDT on Ledger? So nothing wrong. Like definitely should be able to hold USDT on Ledger. You might need to think about which network you have USDT on and that you want to send to. But generally speaking, shouldn't be an issue with sending USDT to a Ledger Nano managed address. Gerard, another question with multiple, I lost you already. With multiple Ledger devices on Ledger Live, how can I see which accounts are on which devices? I know in the future to name them at the time of transferring assets. You might, if you're going to do that, with multiple, how can I see which accounts are on which devices? It's just about naming them. There's no other way around them. And then you'd have to kind of go, what is the word? Trial and error. So you can see actually in my instance of Ledger Live, Gerard, I've got a huge number of accounts, not as many as I used to have, and they might correspond to different devices. I'd have to just go through, maybe I go through the receive process and I go receive. I double check if I can go through the receive process and accept the specific address and confirm the address, then I know that one's related to the specific device and I just rename it from there. But there's no like way to be like, hey, this device has this, is related to this number of accounts or anything like that. But it could be something that I could pass on, because that sounds like it'd be a cool feature. Nikolay, from your point of view, how safe is Ledger for hardware wallet? I mean, Nikolay, I'm obviously biased. I work for Ledger. I think it's the safest, but I mean, also there are things that you need to consider, right? Like, it's not just about putting a recovery phrase on the Ledger device and then forgetting about it. Because if you sign transactions that are going to, give approvals for malicious smart contracts, to use the specific term there, a term there, it's still going to compromise your assets, right? So it's also going to be about making sure you have good OPSEC as well. So, but I think it's the safest, of course. Blacken, thank you, Felix. Thank you. Blacken Ed, maybe I butchered that. And Whitey Vermont, yes, again, I'll see if we can follow up with you as well. Next up we had Vincent Calderon. Hello, are you working on support HBAR without going to any third-party platforms? I would expect so, but it's not something that I am directly aware of. If so, how much longer? I can never give out timeframes, unfortunately, before I can manage HBAR 100% in Ledger Live. But I'll definitely pass on the feedback as well, for sure. Lots of questions. I'm going to have to rush through quite a few of them. I'm going to keep going and trying to smash them through them. Casey, how do I import recovery phrase into Ledger from Coinbase Wallet in order to move non-transactable tokens from Coinbase Wallet to Ledger? Oh, okay. I would never recommend that, but if you are doing so, let me go back. You would just be restore. You would basically be resetting your device, making sure you have your old recovery phrase, and then inputting that recovery phrase from Coinbase Wallet. So I'm assuming it's the Coinbase Wallet that you are able to get the recovery phrase for out, and then you would input that into your Ledger device. The reason we don't recommend it is because if the recovery phrase wasn't generated with a good enough quality of randomness, potentially the recovery phrase could be easier to guess. It might be something you want to liaise with Coinbase about in terms of how those coins might be able to be transactable. Otherwise, if they're proper, like cannot be transacted at all, it's just part of the way that would work. Next up, sorry, I'm going to rush through these a bit. Hello, do you know, Damien, hello, do you know if and when Gnosis Chain will be managed by Ledger? Can be managed by Ledger, I'm assuming you mean. Gnosis Chain you should be able to use with a third-party wallet like MetaMask in particular. I done it quite a few times in the past. With regards to within Ledger Live, I wouldn't have a time frame for that either. Venkat Kuhn next up. How much time does a fully charged Ledger Nano X battery last? I don't have a specific on that one. It can depend on how you're using it and everything like that as well. But definitely, I mean, obviously it's going to be enough time for you to like at least make quite a few transactions. I've used one on battery for a full day in my personal experience, and it'd been fine. But obviously it's not been on the whole time, but you should be able to go through a whole day of making transactions. At least I did. Next up, Jason, general questions. I see that people have sent me Wrapped-Matic in other countries that I have no idea why they were sent to me. I don't touch them, but how can I remove it? I'm assuming you mean NFTs that say that you'll get Wrapped-Matic, Jason. If that's the case, you can't. If they're just NFTs in particular, you actually can't remove them, and I wouldn't suggest burning them or anything like that. I would suggest hiding them within Ledger Live. You can go to our support page, support.ledger.com, and you can just search up how to hide an NFT. The reason being is that if you interact with an NFT that has some, like, it may not conform to the like ERC 721 standard, right? And so they could input something and be like, hey, I'm going to input an approval, for example, as opposed to a transfer, and that could compromise your assets. So never to interact with anything like that. If it is actually Matic that you're getting, or some other currencies, with Wrapped-Matic, you can check what the contract address is, and you can compare that with what the official one is. And if it is the one, then you'll be okay to interact with it. Other random currencies, again, same with these NFTs. Don't interact with them and hide them, is my general advice. But get a hold of us if you want us to like double check those as well. Marlon Yeager, any tutorials on how to buy from Coinbase directly, or is it a thing where you just have to hook up a Coinbase wallet? Does this mean that purchases are off the exchange if you buy within Ledger? If you're talking about with the Coinbase purchase with Coinbase, it is something that you purchase. You basically hook up your Coinbase like account that's already KYC, for example, and then it sends it out from Coinbase to your Ledger managed address. That's kind of how it would work. If we're going to buy off Coinbase directly, it might be something you'd hit up Coinbase about, but it was pretty simple when the last time I did it with Coinbase. But if you're talking about purchasing within Ledger Live, it'd just be through here. So you go through here, click, and then you go through the process of signing in and going from there. Okay. Keeping on the high intensity train, PSDR ESE. Hi there, this might be a silly question. No silly questions, but I really need an answer. Will all crypto lose its value if the dollar lost all its value? That is more of a financial question that I can't really answer. That is more of a general thesis that I know people have, but can't really answer that one, unfortunately. No one can know if a price is going to go up, down, left, or right. So can't really answer that one for you, unfortunately. XXX8, all right, Felix. Haven't seen you in a while. How have you been? I have been good. It has been a while, 2 weeks. But yeah, hopefully market's been treating you well. Market has been pumping without me streaming, so maybe I should be off more often. You can see see if there's a correlation there. Marlon Yeager, I have a ton of messages from Polygon sending that looks like free stuff tokens. Is this a scam? Yes, those are a scam. I think I thought that might be the case before, but based on what you mentioned to me, that is 100% a scam. How do you remove them? You can't. You would have to hide them. So I would look up this malicious or unknown NFTs article within our support page, so support.ledger.com. ASDEC or ASDC, how come with Ledger you have to connect Hashback to have HBAR, but with Decent Wallet you don't? I can't speak for Decent Wallet in particular, but with Ledger it's just a part of how it would be set up at the time. yeah, I'll definitely pass on the feedback for, oops, this is for staking. But I'll definitely pass on the feedback about that in particular. My understanding, though, it is due to the way that HBAR works in particular. That's like really specific to HBAR. Another question from Aztec, does Ledger support Filecoin, or do I need to download another app to receive my Filecoin? That would mostly depend, first of all, on how which network you're receiving it on, if it's on Filecoin in particular. But Filecoin, as a native token on its own network, does have its own application. Then you would use a Filecoin wallet to manage the assets. AJ1615, how do I restore connection to MetaMask so that I can re-engage wrapping and delegating Songbird and Flare? Again, a lot of my colleagues have gone through and written a lot of articles, and so there should be nearly one for everything. Connecting and restoring the connection to MetaMask is definitely an article. As you can see here, you can connect your Ledger device to add the same account that you're managing with your Ledger Live to MetaMask, and then you can manage Songbird and Flare from there. So you can check out this article. Again, support.ledger.com. It's going to take a little breather here, but 12 minutes past 5, I think I will also mention, please don't give out your 24 words, don't sign any transactions you don't trust. Keep those questions coming. It's really coming through a lot. I've got a lot of questions today, so it's awesome. Let me get back up to speed. Keys has asked, Exodus will require verification for actions with your crypto. How can I transfer it on your ledger? It's a bit of a vague question here. If I'm not sure what you're referring to with regards to requiring verification, but when you're using a Ledger device, the reason you're using a Ledger device is because you're using the Ledger to sign transactions, right? So if it's about sending it to a Ledger managed address, you would, go through the receive process to get your address for whatever asset you want to receive, then send it from the Exodus managed address to your Ledger managed address, and then from there you can manage it as you normally would, as long as it's supported within Ledger Live. That's the really high level overview. I'm not sure if you have any more specific ideas about what you might need to do there, Keys. NV, can Ledger recover 24-word recovery phrase that is lost? No, it cannot. It would only be something that you can use if you had set up Ledger Recover, and then it would instead not even give you the recovery phrase, but restore the Ledger device back to be able to manage those same accounts or addresses, for example. But if you didn't already use Ledger Recover, like let's say you lost your recovery phrase last year, and then you signed up for Ledger Recover today, it's not going to be able to have you to get that recovery phrase at all. It's not the way that would be able to assist you. It's not the way the service would be able to assist you in this case, or at all rather. Joseph Tata, how can I handle the issue where some BEP20 tokens, for example, when you transfer to Ledger Nanos or transfer to a Ledger managed address, does not appear within Ledger Live? How can this problem be handled? You would just manage it with a third-party wallet, something like Rabby or MetaMask, for example, would be a way that you'd manage an asset that isn't supported in Ledger Live. Why is Cardano not supported? No longer supported? I think it's actually an issue with in terms of developing the application, the dApp, if I remember correctly. And so it's something that they're looking to fix, as you can see. And put a referring probability to further, and yes, you can see they're looking to do this ASAP. To keep the roll going, how do I get Flare airdrops if I have XRP? Is it easy to set up? Not really something that I can help you with, but should be able to find out at least the eligibility criteria here, and then how to wrap and delegate, if I remember correctly, is how you would begin that process as well. So again, you can find that at least this process within our support page in particular, if you weren't already aware of that one. Oh, wow, lots of questions still. Hello, folks, from Ravi Bahal. Always enjoy these episodes. Quick question: do you plan to support SHX? Let me go back to CoinGecko. It's not something that I remember off the top of my head, but the guys from this token can always reach out to us, and then they can talk to us, because I can see it looks like its own network. They might want to reach out to us about how they might want to build the application in particular. Fashion on the high street. My ledger is not connecting. All the troubleshooting steps. I tried all the troubleshooting steps. What can I do? Can imagine that I'm upset. Would probably need more information there. I would normally have you reach out, actually. So support.ledger.com, go to the contact us button, and we can see what could be the issue, because might depend on like what error message you're getting. Are you using a dongle? If you're using a Mac is another common one. What's showing on the screen? Those are normally the things that I'd be thinking of about how to fix that issue for you. But normally the quickest way there, just get a hold of us, have a chat with us, and we'll try to fix it up for you, because it's a bit hard, because we'll need to do an interaction. I may need to get more information from you. Thank you, Casey, as well, for any question, for the question as well. Nikolay, can a ledger be hacked? Ledger devices, if the hacker don't know our 24-word recovery phrase, do we need to add 25 words? So I'm assuming talking about a passphrase. So Nikolay, no, you wouldn't be able to. A hacker wouldn't be able to get your assets if they didn't know the recovery phrase, right? So you can, if they knew the recovery phrase, they can manage it without, as if they were you, regardless of whether you're using a ledger device or not. Do we need to add a passphrase? So the 25th word is the way you mention it. That's up to you. Honestly, it's a bit of a 50-50 for me, because it can be quite complex and people get quite confused. But if you are sure about what you're doing, you could start off with like putting a little bit in to a passphrase account and going from there. Definitely something that I could recommend if you're really on this like level of being like, I don't want to say paranoid, because it's a bit negative, but if you really are thinking about your OPSEC, it's definitely something to consider. Thank you, Mighty in Vermont, as well. We'll definitely have a look through. Thank you, Milan Jaeger and PSTR as well. SAR80K, you mentioned, I like Ledger more than any other wallet, but I think Ledger is one step away from KYC its customer. I can't imagine why you would think that, but you're obviously free to have your opinion. Coinbase is the largest centralized exchange, and Ledger is in bed with it. We're definitely wanting to work with the other big players in the industry. I don't know that being in bed, I might need to get more understanding from you there, but not sure what you mean by that in particular. Gerard or Riordan, I always butcher these names, sorry mate, but Gerard, hi, can I swap BTC to USDT or USDC in Ledger Live? Definitely something that should be possible. If I pop back over to Ledger Live desktop, I actually don't have a Bitcoin account added for this session at the moment, but you should be able to use the swap feature here and go for Bitcoin to USDT or USDC, for example. So definitely something that's possible. Oh, and it might depend on your area as well, before I forget. Because if you're in a specific location, it might be something that might be restricted for you. Next up, we had Jonathan Rarig. When I was a newbie, I bought some BNB and it wound up on ETH. How can I liquidate that into something I can use? Okay, this is an interesting one. First off, it's on ETH, so you would need to first have ETH at that address. Next up, you would need to, I think there's an article about this, so I'm going to switch back over. But once you have Ether that's addressed, because you need to pay for transaction fees, you might need to either send it back to the centralized exchange, or you can use something called a bridge as well. So you can use some, I think ones that I've used before would be like a Thorchain is one that should work. A Cross.2 is one that I've used as well. There are many more. And then, yeah, you can make sure to send those across as well. So those are definitely something you can do. Next up, we had tech. Can the seed phrase be extracted from the Ledger Nano X? No, it cannot. A lot of fears on that with, I'm assuming you mean Ledger Recover, but yeah, it just can't be extracted from the Ledger Nano X. The seed phrase cannot be extracted. Fashion on the High Street, thank you for the question as well. Ejabena, maybe I got that better this time. You've asked, how many times can I use my seed phrase? You should be able to use it as many times as you'd like, if I understand your query. But if you, so maybe I'll put it this way. If you input the recovery phrase onto multiple Ledger devices, totally something that's possible. If you input the same recovery phrase onto the same Ledger device multiple times, it doesn't do anything different, but I mean, can be something that you can do as well. So the recovery phrase doesn't have any number of times it can be used in particular. So it's not something that should affect it, depending on how you use it. Insan, you've asked, why can't I stake 50 DOT I have on Ledger? Please do something. We can't do anything about that. The reason being is the minimum that you have to stake for DOT is actually much higher than 50 DOT. It's something like I think it's something like 400 plus, 500 plus now. So in this case, being that you're below the limit, you would need to use something like nomination pools in particular, which you can use and still earn rewards, because it is the minimum for staking that is going to be 1 DOT. So yeah, you can see here, I mean, this may not be updated, but yeah, it's over 500. So you wouldn't be able to use 50 DOT to stake. Next up is Frank Eggleston. When staking Sol with Ledger and Figment, Ledger by Figment, rewards are automatically added to the delegated assets. The export of the operation history does not provide any details that we need this for tax purposes. If you would need that one in particular, I might suggest just going to the block explorer. So something like the Canonical Explorer. I think it's like explorer.solana. Block Explorer, I'll just look it up. Yeah, explorer.solana.com or like Solana Beach, and then you should be able to like export the CSV for the history of that one in particular. And you can see exactly what's happening there. But definitely something I'll pass on the feedback for there, Frank. For the fellow who asked about Flare and Songbird, he can delegate inside the Bifrost wallet. This may help him. Yes, the delegating part was definitely a portion of that. You can attempt those steps as well, for sure, Ravi. Please allow small DOT holders to stake their DOT on Ledger, just like we do in Binance. Please do it fast. I have 50 DOT since 23rd of January. I shouldn't have transferred those DOT from Binance to Ledger. One thing to mention there, Insan, is it's not us that's allowing or disallowing you to, let me go back, to stake those. Basically what's happening here is that you don't have the minimum amount to be able to stake. So what you're going to need to do is use the alternative, which is possible, which is the nomination pools. And that way you still earn a staking reward or staking return for staking those assets, right? Binance is going to be a centralized entity that offers its own type of service, and it may be more convenient, but it's not something that you're self-custodying. So that's the difference there. Bifrost is a hot wallet though. I love the conversations happening in chat. Okay, I think I got up to speed, but it is 5 minutes from when I'm about to finish. I love all the chats that I've been getting as well. Thank you all for the questions. Might just put out a last call if you have any last questions. I might just pop through it. I mean, last thing I mentioned to Insan, yeah, it's just a different product and service, right? So definitely would recommend the use of, I think, nomination pools. How to join a nomination pool, and that way you can earn some portion of return on your 50 DOT, and that'll help you go from there. So hopefully that helps you there. If you guys have any more questions, either pop them in the chat right now so I can answer them, or you can always go through to support.ledger.com, and a bunch of us can try to answer them as well. I definitely have that case number, so that's no worries as well. Thanks for popping that through again too. Otherwise, if no one has any more questions, yeah, we'll finish up for today. We try to have our streams all throughout the week as well. So hit us up on, have a look through YouTube if you guys have any other questions. So again, I'll finish off today. Please, please, please don't give out your recovery phrase, and don't sign any transactions you don't trust. We want you guys to stay safe, and yeah, hopefully you guys have a good rest of the week. Thanks.